Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on the Mike and Mike, the premier business radio program. I'm your host, Mike King. I appreciate you being here with me. So this is part of the Mike King Biz Radio Network, which is ESPN Richmond 106.1 every day from 5 to 7 a.m. The Choice 105.3 daily from 2 to 3 p.m., as well as International Business Growth Radio. That is Saturdays, 10 a.m. in the East. We do like LeBron. We take our talents on the road and showcase all the great things happening here in the Richmond area, as well as bringing talent from other areas to showcase them here. You can follow me on all social platforms on Mike with Mike RVA, as well as Mike King Biz. Alrighty, so ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor. We've gone three-quarters of the way around across the globe for this talent right here. My man Jeremy Gray is with us. Jeremy, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for inviting me. Do appreciate it.
You are one of my fellow International Business Growth Radio partners, and shout out to Donna Cundy, Bill Eastman for coming up with that awesome platform. So tell folks who you are and what you do.
Sure, I'd be delighted to, Mike. So I'll give you a very quick potted history. I spent most of my life working for an American multinational. I started with them in the United Kingdom on the finance side. In 1993, I moved to the United States and was there until 2006. Had a great time in the US. One of my favorite jobs, I ran a mining operation in South Carolina, and I
Really?
truly enjoyed that. And then in 2006, I came out to Asia. Where I was the CFO, COO for the Asia Pacific division of the multinational that I was working for. I did that until 2014 when we had a structural change. And then I finished up really running their operations and manufacturing environments, their manufacturing businesses. I always knew, Mike, that retirement was not for me. So in 2014, I started to build a consulting business as a fractional CFO, working with the CFO Center out of the UK. And I'm still doing that, but in 2019, with absolutely exquisite timing, I decided to retire. And then, of course, COVID hit us and shut many things down. But that's the way that life goes. And I've done that, but recently I've realized that being a consultant and a coach, and it's a great way to start. I do recommend anybody who wants to start a second career thinking about consulting and coaching. But I do realize that one of the challenges you face as a consultant or coach is you only get paid by the hour, right? And there's only so many hours in the day, so you can only earn so much. So personally, for me, I want to escape what I call the tyranny of the clock, right? My dream is to make. My dream is to make money while I sleep, right? That's what that is my dream. So that's what I'm doing. And I've recently challenged myself, Mike, because as I said, I've worked as a fractional CFO. And that really was quite comfortable. It brought in enough income to pay the bills. It was enough, but it really stopped me breaking away from this hourly payment scheme, this retainers. So I backed out a little bit of that, and I'm starting to launch a couple of businesses. But one I'd like to talk to your listeners about today is the geriatric entrepreneur.
And I like that. That is a catcher right there.
Yeah. So the geriatric entrepreneur, it's based on the fact, as I said, I started forming this idea about 6 months ago. Americans, something like 10,000 Americans are retiring every day and will do for the next 10 years or so as the baby boomers retire and drop out of the workforce. And it's a well-known fact that many of us probably haven't put quite enough money away for our retirements going forward. And what I realize is we're now facing a sort of double whammy as retirees. The stock market's not performing as it used to. So your retirement portfolio is probably not growing as rapidly as you'd hoped it would. And inflation is eating into your spending power. So you've got a relatively flat retirement portfolio, increased costs. And so maybe if you were a little bit on the borderline when you retired, maybe it's not looking quite so great now. So You may be. And my recommendation is that you should start thinking about enjoying your retirement. Don't retire, launch a second career. And you can do it for your health, your sanity, and for a little bit of extra income.
What you had talked to me before we go on air was it doesn't have to be hitting it out the park. It doesn't have to be some billion-dollar venture idea that you came up with. It has to fit what you need.
Absolutely right, Mike. And that's what the geriatric entrepreneur is all about. It's not launching a business to make $1 billion or even $1 million. If you've retired and you will have brought into your retirement years, decades of experience, and you can use that to build a business which, as you say, matches your requirements. If you want to set up as a consultant or a coach, and your objective is $2,000 a month, great, perfect. If that's what's right for you, then that's where it should be. I get very uncomfortable when I go on this online, be an entrepreneur, and everyone's talking about, 6-figure incomes, 7-figure incomes. Yeah, if you want to do that, great. And I can help. I'd love to help you if that's what you want to do. But I'm really much more interested in helping the people who want to make a couple of thousand a month, maybe 5,000 a month, whatever is right for them, because a couple of thousand a month can make a huge difference to your retirement. You can either sit there and watch your standard of living slowly decrease as inflation takes more and more out of your retirement, or you can take that knowledge that you've built up over the decades, put it to work for you. And as you say, Mike, do what's right for you. It doesn't need to be knock it out the park.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am with me, Jeremy Gray. Jeremy, where are you based out of now? Where are you located?
I'm actually in Vietnam. I'm in a town or city called Vung Tau. Vung Tau is about 2 hours south of Ho Chi Minh City. It's the nearest coastal resort to Ho Chi Minh City. So I'm in southern Vietnam.
All righty. So when you look, what's the business environment there so that folks on my program can get an idea of it?
Oh, Mike, that's absolutely a great question. Vietnam is absolutely booming. Q2 GDP growth 7.7%. Q3 GDP growth 13.1%. Vietnam is benefiting from basically, quite frankly, with the US-China disruptions, people are looking for other countries to get their materials from. We've got huge investments here from Samsung, Apple are here building their iPods. It really is a booming country. Great demographics, very, very young population. Vietnam is, I think, one of the most connected countries in the world in regard to free trade agreements. So, I mean, Mike, I'm really glad you asked that question because I would love to help any company who's thinking about setting up in Vietnam. I would love to just give you some guidance, be the person on the ground. It is a fantastic environment.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what International Business Growth Radio, that's what we do here. We bring in talent from around the world. So Jeremy, how do people in Vietnam and the Far East view American business now, say as opposed to 5 years ago? And what are they looking at going forward?
Well, that's interesting. Vietnam, despite the Vietnam War, or as they say here, the American War, despite that, Vietnam is very, very pro-American, very pro-American, and they really are interested in emulating the American business style. The young people are very interested in going to America for their education. They really want to be entrepreneurs following the American system. At the moment, most of the investment coming into Vietnam is actually coming out of Asia, right? So the leading investment countries coming into Vietnam are countries like Korea and Japan. But there's plenty of FDI coming out of the US, and yeah, very favorable attitude. And that has not changed a lot over the last 5 years. It's still very, very positive.
How can people find you on International Business Growth Radio?
Well, they can go to me. They can find me on ibgr.network/Jeremy-Gray. But to be honest, folks, if you want to connect with me, the easiest way to do it would be to go to your favorite search engine, type in Jeremy Gray CFO, and you'll find a lot of pages about me out there and my LinkedIn contact.
So the business environment now, how do you see, because you've lived in America, you've been in the UK, now you're in the Far East, what's the business environment from a global scale?
Well, isn't that, yeah. I mean, obviously, the US is teetering on a recession at the moment, and Europe is in a recession, no doubt about it. Even some of the Asian countries, Singapore is in a technical recession. So that's why I think that even if you're a relatively small business looking to markets that are growing rapidly, I'm obviously bullish on Vietnam, but there's a lot of African countries that are growing rapidly. There's some Latin American countries that are growing rapidly. So, I mean, I think the World Bank is sort of saying on average, growth is going to be around 2% next year. But definitely, I think there are pockets of opportunity all around the world. As I say, I'm bullish on Vietnam, but there are other places that certainly are doing well.
As a fractional CFO, explain to the listeners when a business, they know they need the services of a chief financial officer, but they don't have the money for it. Explain to the people why it's important to have somebody on staff who can help you with.
Yeah, that a fractional CFO can help you do a lot of things. They can help you develop your business strategy, your business growth plans. They can help you with your cash flow forecast, because cash is king in any business, Mike. The day you run out of cash is the day your business closes. So a fractional CFO can certainly help you in that area. They can help you with what I might call the unexpected. A very, very quick story, and I'll make it very, very quick. I've just finished a 5-year assignment with a company where we took them from 5 million to 30 million in 5 years in turnover, with an acquisition or two along the way. And we've just concluded the divestment, and the owner walked away with excess of $10 million. And it's that sort of growth programs that a fractional CFO can bring to you. And yeah, you're right. A full-time CFO is very expensive, but a fractional CFO, as we say, can cost you less than a junior employee on a monthly basis.
That is true. All righty. You're out there now as a fractional CFO. That is a business. Let's really touch right back on the geriatric entrepreneur. It's like you're saying, you don't have to hit it out the park. You have to determine how much it takes for you to be a success.
Absolutely right. And as I say, I mentioned the tyranny of the clock, because there's going to be a time when I can't continue to work as the way I'm doing today. But I recommend to anybody who's thinking, I want to make a little bit of extra money, think about coaching, think about consulting. But as I was saying to you before we went on air, just hanging out your shingle is not going to bring any business in.
No,
you're going to
have
have to. It's not, and you're going to have to do a lot more. And launching your own business as a consultant or a coach, there's so many things you need to learn. I mean, I'm a finance guy, so I understand the finances of launching a business, but I'm having to learn about marketing. I'm having to learn about content creation. I'm having to learn about search engine optimization. I'm learning about how to build email lists. And these are all things that you have to learn. And whilst you could pay people to do that, in reality, you can do it yourself. Building a website is relatively easy. Use a contract management system like WordPress, that's the one that I use, and you can build your own website. But then you've got to do more. You've got to get these search engine optimization. There are tools out there. And what I'm trying to do with the geriatric entrepreneur is try to explain those tools in a way that's not too technical. And I'm going to be launching fairly soon a sort of ride along with Jeremy program. You know, I'll tell you what I do right, what I do wrong, you know, where I stumble, where I've had success, so that people, as I say, I want it to be a safe place. You don't need to be in it, you know, a real hard driving entrepreneur, be part of the geriatric entrepreneur community. What I want to do is help you achieve the income that you want to achieve.
Let me ask you, so a person, say they do business in the US, but they aspire to do business on a global scale. How do they go about doing that as a consultant?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of things you need to understand, and if you're going to go overseas, by the way, if you want to go to my one of my other podcasts, which is the Practical Solutions to Difficult Problems, I'm actually running at the moment, I'm running a 13-part series on what you need to know to take your business international. So if you're interested in that, folks,
That's the place to go to.
That's the place to go to. We're launching. I'll be writing part 5, which is how do you do your competitive analysis when you're going into an overseas market. But it's similar to expanding into a new region. You know, for instance, if you've been operating in the Northeast US and you're going to go and operate in Southern US, there are differences you have to understand. There are differences of culture. There are differences of the way things work, and it's even more so when you go international. But it's very very similar steps, and first thing you've got to do is abandon your preconceived notions. You know, there's some funny stories of companies, big successful companies. Walmart went into Germany and asked their greeters to smile at the German customers. Well, that's not what they do in Germany.
That is true.
You know, and you know, and Walmart stumbled there, and you know, Starbucks stumbled in Australia because they didn't understand the Australian coffee culture. So you've got to get rid of some of your preconceived notions. You've got to do your research. It's research, and then you've got to think about your plans. But the fundamental thing, Mike, before you take your company overseas, be sure that you have the resources to do it, and that your base company can weather a slowdown, and you can still do your international operations. Because what you don't want to do is start your international venture and then have to back out because of a downturn in your home market, wherever that may be. So your first step is, hey, have I got the resources to do that? Do I have the right people to do that? Right? If you've got someone on your team who's already worked internationally, that's a great start. But if you don't have someone on your team who's worked internationally, do your team take overseas vacations? And I don't mean to go lie on a beach in Cancun, right? Do they take overseas vacations to learn the culture, to visit sites and understand where they're going? If you have people like that, that's also a great start to it. And if you don't, well, there's people like me.
That is true. On the Mike King Biz here, Jeremy Gray. So one last time, how can people find you, sir?
Okay, well, I'm on IBGR. / Jeremy-Gray, or as I say, probably the easiest way to find me.
Just Google.
Just Google Jeremy Gray, CFO. You'll go straight to me.
That is him.
Yeah.
Hey, well, shout out to Donna Cundy, Bill Eastman for putting International Business Growth Radio on. I appreciate it. I'm on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Great talent like my man Jeremy here. We got to run on the mic. Mike, thanks now. Take care.
Thanks, Mike.
Take care. Bye.